You really should have perfect happiness. Everyone really should have this. Everyone wants to be happy. Everyone wants to be free, and I tell you, you can be completely, absolutely free. And you should give this to yourself. We could say it's your birthright, but you were never born. You should be completely happy. You're going to search until you are. You're going to be restless until you are. That's just the case. When you got a headache, you want to get rid of it. And the headache is thinking you're somebody. It's just not true. If you think you're somebody, you're going to suffer. Not because it's wrong, just because it's not the truth of who you are. So if you really want pleasure, get rid of yourself. Getting rid of yourself is the most pleasurable thing. Sages say, die while alive. What could that possibly mean? Does that sound scary? Well, it sure does if you think you're a fleshy body. If that's who you are, it sounds gruesome, it sounds horrible, it sounds violent. Die while alive, what could that mean? The deal is that it's not the death of anything real. That's not such a gruesome death when you just discover something wasn't real that you thought was real. That's not a death. It's not violent at all. It's a simple discovery of knowing what's real. And that is intensely pleasurable. And so this reality that we want to know about, well, it's your own reality. That's all, the best way I can say it. It's not the reality of something else or somewhere else. It's your own reality. That's why it's so pleasurable. It's not only your own, it is you. So you can never lose it, because it is you. And it's intensely pleasurable, your existence. So you want to suck on this intense pleasure of your own existence. Find your pleasure right where you are. Give yourself samadhi, not a little bit, all the time. All illusory time. Get rid of time, and then you're really going to be sucking on your own bliss. There is no time. There's just your own existence. Not existence as a somebody, but existence as everything. Without the everything. With no things in it. Okay, in Advaita we say there's only, you fill in the blank. There's only God, there's only bliss, there's only consciousness, whatever the heck you call it, Great Spirit, Yahweh, I don't know. There's been 1,000 billion names for God. Whatever the name is, that's all there is. We could call it God. What do you want to call it today? Anybody got a name for it?
Being.
Okay, let's call it being. I like that name. Being with a capital B. Not being this or that. Not being I or me. Just being. Being. So in Veda we say there is only being. That's all there is. Only that. Nothing else. That's it. That's the whole teaching. If that's not perfectly understood, and if it is, you're already sitting in bliss and you have no questions. There is only being. And that being is yourself. But if there's a question, we say, if that's not perfectly clear, to help us understand it, we say, the world is illusion. And what that means is, everything that seems objective to you isn't really there. Illusion is something that's not there at all. So the only thing real is what's not objective. There's only being. The world is an illusion. Ponder that. Ponder that for yourself. Take the words home and sit with them. We could say, there is only yourself. The world is an illusion. At any rate, take that word being to its core in yourself, not just a word. What is your own being? Feel it, get into it. Ponder it. Take your attention away from the so-called world, which means everything objective. Don't play in illusion. Not because it's bad or wrong. There is no reason except that it's not real. It's not real. Why play in something that's not real? Why not get to the real thing? That's where all the joy is. The joy is the reality of existence. So there's only being. There's only yourself. The world is an illusion. You know, they have three. It's called an aphorism or triad. It's a way for you to understand the truth. And it's lasted a really long time, so it's a good thing to listen. I didn't just make this stuff up. People have been understanding that they're not a people. This is the oldest teaching there is, actually. Questionably, apparently. Whatever. I'm telling you, the teacher is yourself. You're the one that wrote all those books. There's only one being. You wrote the scripture for yourself, to wake yourself up. There is only one being. It's you. I'm telling you. You're the only one. You alone exist. So take these scriptures that you wrote for yourself and study them. And this is one we're just talking about today. There's only yourself, there's only being. The world is an illusion. Bring yourself in to what's not an illusion, your own being. And then you can come up with a third one that says, the world is being. Or the world is God. But you can't get to that third one unless you understand the second one. You can't just take the world as a physical thing and take it to be real and say, oh, it's God. That's just adding more thoughts to meat. It doesn't work that way, okay? You have to know this being for yourself before you can dress up the world and know the truth about the so-called world. It doesn't exist as separate parts. As separate parts, it's illusion. As being, it's real. As yourself, it's real. That's how you get to the non-duality. It's all yourself. The whole world is yourself. But you can't know that if you think you're a meat body. I mean, there's no way in hell you're going to understand it if you think you're a meat body. The meat body just is the goofiest thing in the world to believe in. There's nothing wrong with it. You don't beat yourself up because you think you're a body. But just check it out. Is that what you are? Is that what you always are? Even in any 24-hour period? Is there ever a time when you're not the meat body? Of course, there's plenty of times. Pay attention to those times. When you're not the meat body, wake up. Don't just think the times that it seems like you're a body are the real times. Those are the most unreal times. Deep dreamless sleep is a much more real time for you than your disidentification with meat. That moment in between thoughts is a much more real time for you when you don't have stuff on to identify yourself. Pay attention to your whole experience, especially the times when you're not taking yourself to be anybody, and you're going to discover that those are the really great times. Those are the really blissful times. If you lose yourself in anything, those are the great times. Say you're doing some hobby that you love, and you just forget about everything, and everything's gone. It was the most pleasurable time you had. And you forgot about yourself. Your persona, your problems, your drama. Who needs it? It's not real. Don't suck on that kind of bullshit. Why spend any time there? It's just not happy, it's not real. Spend your time in samadhi. They talk about being asleep while awake. The pleasure of deep, dreamless sleep, the pleasure of no form whatsoever, while the body does its thing. It's possible. It's possible to get out of this dream while you're still alive. Die while alive. I hang out a lot with dying people because it's interesting. I want to see how many people, what do they do when they're dying? I'm talking about the dream world here. See, in the apparent life, nothing is happening. These fleshy bodies are so temporary. I talked to a lady the other day. She's like, sure goes fast. I'm telling you, it goes fast. Do something real while you can. Do something real while you have all your faculties. If you wait till your deathbed, not many people have the intention or the clarity to have a happy death. If you think you're a body, it sucks when you die. It's horrible. Just because it's not real. But if you know the truth about yourself, there's no such thing as death. The body falls off like a dream character. There's nothing horrible about it. And you live in this joy that some people call heaven while you're alive. You're not going to get any goodie after death unless you have some understanding. There's no groovy place to go. The groovy place to go is here now while you live. And it's not going anywhere. It's just knowing the truth about your own existence. The point is, don't wait. Suck on that bliss while you can. Where you are, right where you are. That's where it is. Your own bliss. It's exactly where you are. So find where you are. The bliss is where you are. So where are you going to suck on it? Who is there to suck? That's the point. Who am I? Well, I'll tell you. You're the only blessed, sacred one there has ever been. And that's the truth. You are God. You're the only one that has ever existed, and I mean that seriously. It's just the truth. It's an amazing truth, and it's the same truth for everyone. Every person's eyes who you look into is that one. Every being, every animal, every form at all. It's you. It's the same one. You should know this while you're alive. So we say don't waste time. That means you don't have to wallow in an illusion. Get to know yourself. Don't fuck around. Face yourself. Who am I? What's going on here? I'm telling you, it's not effective to wait till your deathbed. On one hand, it doesn't matter. You are the real self whether you know it or not. But why not know it? And all that means is giving up the thought that you think you're not. It's really that easy. It's really not that hard. If you get down to it, there's nothing hard about it. You already got it. So, the guy that wants to know the truth says, if I am always here and now, why do I not feel so? In other words, if I am the self, the being that we talked about, you hear this teaching from sages, you know, you're always saying this stuff, it's so great. There's only self, how come I don't feel it? Okay, that's the question. Maharshi says, that is it. Who says it is not felt? Look at the one that's saying they're not, something's wrong, they've got to find something. Look at the one in yourself who says you don't have it. Does the real I say it or the false I? Examine it. You will find it is the wrong I. The wrong I is the obstruction. All your questions, all your doubts, where are they coming from? Find that out. Who's asking? Who's wondering? Who wants to be happy? Find it out for yourself. Who am I? The wrong I is the obstruction. It has to be removed in order that the true I may not be hidden. The feeling that I have not realized is the obstruction to the realization. Now you can't just add the other thought, I am realized, and think that's it either. It's not a thought, you see. Who is asking? In fact, it is already realized. There is nothing more to be realized. And he's saying what's real is here now. It's always the case. Not somewhere else, not something new to be gotten. If that was true, he says, otherwise, the realization would be new. If it's something new to be gotten, how could that be real? Then you could lose it again. If you don't have it now and you got to get it somewhere else, it can't be real, it can't be true. If it's real, it's already here. It's already the case. If it has not existed so far, it must take place after. What is born will also die. If realization is not eternal, it is not worth having. Therefore, what we seek is not that which must happen afresh. If you understand, you already have it. It's already who you are. You're not trying to get something new, and then you just clear away the obstructions to it. See how much easier that is? You've already got it. Maybe you don't understand it fully, but just clear up your own thoughts. That's it. It is only that which is eternal, but not now known due to obstruction, that we seek. All that we need to do is to remove the obstruction. That which is eternal is not known to be so because of ignorance. Ignorance is the obstruction. Get over this ignorance and all will be well. And ignorance is just a word for saying you're putting something on top of your own perfect happiness. Doesn't mean dumb. In some ways I don't like that word, but I don't know of a better one. Because it's like ignoring the truth. Ignorance. You're ignoring what's real and you're looking at what's false. But it's not ignorance in like you're dumb. It's ignorance like you're paying attention to the wrong thing. He says, ignorance is identification with the I thought. You're paying attention to something that you think you are. I. Find its source, and it will vanish. You don't need that I thought when you're abiding at the source of the I thought, or the source of your parent persona, the source of ego. The I thought is like a spirit which, although not palpable, rises up simultaneously with the body, flourishes, and disappears with it. We don't need to get into that. Just keep it simple. Stay with the I thought. I don't even believe in the body. I don't even know why we need to go into why the body is. Start with the assumption that it's not. You try to always be figuring out why it's here. That's distracting. Just go to the source. Let's see what Nisargadatta says. Okay, so the guy says, when I'm in the thought-free state, I have this feeling of total balance. No happiness, no misery, just balance. Is this correct? What do you think? Balance? That doesn't sound all that exciting. I mean, I'm doing all this practice just to get into balance. He says he has no happiness, no misery. In other words, he's saying there's nobody there to experience something else. Nobody there. No happiness, no misery. Nisargadatta says, yes, the state of the self. No pleasure, no misery. This is called identity with the highest. When you don't know that you are. To me, that sounds utterly blissful. Is there anybody there to know? When there's no one there to know, this is where we can't describe it, why we call it untellable bliss. You gotta throw away all the words at this point and just experience it, what they call the highest. And different teachers describe it different ways. It's not the point. The point is to know it for yourself. Nobody's gonna tell it to you. You'll never get it from just hearing the words. You have to experience it for yourself and as yourself. And what I'm saying is getting rid of yourself as much as you can is really fun. Just try it a little bit. Get rid of yourself a little bit. It starts being fun. Get rid of yourself a lot and it starts being funner. And fun may not be the word. Pleasure, deep peace. But you're going to go for what's pleasurable. You just do. We do. Everybody does. We want our own pleasure. So just try getting rid of yourself and see if it feels good. Why do you think people love drugs, sex, rock and roll, whatever it is? Because you get rid of yourself for a little while. Cookies, like we talked about last time.
A real short while.
Huh, a real short while, right? So let's make it longer. Go for the real goodie. We all know what happens with these compulsive behaviors that give you a tiny fraction of pleasure. It doesn't work very well. Do something that works eternally. He ends by saying, don't get involved with the mind. Ignore the mind. So the so-called student said to the so-called teacher, you know, when I have no thought, I come to this place of like complete balance. But that's the best he could describe of it. He goes, there's really no particular pleasure. That's because it's not pleasure as known by a human being. It's way beyond that puny little pleasure. If you're going to have some kind of so-called pleasure, you're going to have some kind of so-called pain. If you're dividing things up like that between something and something else, good and bad, you're still in the world of delusion, illusion, parts and pieces. What we call bliss is not something experienced by human beings. If there's still a human being there experiencing something, it's not bliss. So beyond any kind of experiencer is yourself. Because when there's an experiencer experiencing something, there's already parts. Get rid of everything. Get rid of every iota of persona. And I say get rid of, is there anybody that could do such a thing? Get rid of itself? Find out, just experiment. That's all this thing is. Experiment with yourself. Enjoy this meditation. Ponder these words. And find your own bliss, that's it. Find where it is in yourself. We're just giving you another way besides, you know, the get rich and famous way. Great relationships, rich, famous, no matter how good it gets, it is just hilarious that people think that could actually make them happy. You still end up on that deathbed. You can look back and have like, oh, that was a great little picture. This lady said to me the other day, she's like, it's been fun. It's sweet. And she was more at peace than anybody I see lately. It's been fun. She's ready. She went for her own pleasure. And you'll be really at peace on the so-called deathbed. This whole thing is a dream. There is no person. There is no death. But if you ever find yourself on a deathbed, nothing's happening at all. Because you're rested as pure being. Always, no matter what happens. No matter what dream seems to occur or not. There is no dream occurring in reality. Not a big one, not a little one, not a happy one. Not a one where you're a human being, not a one where you're an angel, or an ant, or a flea, or a tree. All the dreaming is unreal. Every part of it. You have to wake up out of all dreaming. In place as you are. So if you need a reason to do that, do it for your own pleasure.